October 3rd, 1996. He picked her up on a cold, lonely road. The night stretched across the empty highway with no lights, but his headlights slicing through the dark. She stood by the shoulder, hair tangled, wearing a pale dress that clung as if soaked. She raised her hand with a gesture that felt more plea than request. He slowed. The car idled. She climbed in without a word. Her skin looked pale, almost gray, and her eyes never met his. He asked where she was headed. She murmured the name of a street he had never heard. He nodded, gripping the wheel. When he turned to check on her at the next stop sign, she was gone. The seat was empty. The door had never opened. October 5th, 1996. He told himself it was exhaustion, a trick of the shadows, a half-dream in motion. Still, he returned to the same road. He drove slower, scanning the shoulder. The fog drifted low. His pulse quickened when he saw her again. She stood in the same place, the same pale dress, the same downward gaze. He stopped. She entered. He smelled damp earth and metal. Her lips parted. She whispered the same street. This time he tried to watch her in the mirror. Each time his eyes flicked up, she seemed sharper, more defined. The corners of her mouth quivered as though holding back words. He forced himself to drive until the air inside grew heavy, pressing his chest. He asked her why she waited there. Silence. When he reached a turn and looked at her, she had vanished again. His hands trembled on the wheel. October 8th, 1996. He told his sister. She laughed, said no one hitchhikes anymore, least of all on deserted county roads. He insisted he had seen her twice. His sister shook her head. She said maybe he was chasing an echo. The words stuck with him. That night he did not sleep. He dreamt of fog slipping through the window, curling around his throat. He woke choking. His car keys lay on the nightstand. He swore he could smell damp earth in the room. October 12th, 1996. He swore he would not go back, but curiosity coiled tighter than fear. The third time, he left earlier. Twilight bled across the sky. He parked by the side of the road and waited. The air grew cold. His breath clouded. Minutes dragged. Then she appeared in the mirror. She had not walked up. She had not crossed the ditch. She was just there, reflected behind him. He spun. The back seat was empty. He turned back. The mirror still showed her, closer, eyes hollow, lips drawn back as if about to speak. He drove off without looking again. October 15th, 1996. He asked around town. The old diner at the corner, the gas station attendant, a deputy with a gut and tired eyes. No one knew of a girl in a pale dress waiting out there. The deputy narrowed his eyes, said there used to be a wreck on that road years ago. A girl had died when the car skidded off in the rain. He said no body had been recovered. The car burned. The road had been resurfaced since. The deputy shrugged it off. He told him to stop chasing ghosts. October 19th, 1996. He dreamed of her again. This time he sat in his car, and she leaned close to him, her face inches from his. Her mouth opened and ash poured out, black flakes drifting into his lap, filling the car, clogging his throat. He woke drenched in sweat. The faint sound of water dripping echoed in his ears. He checked the faucet. Dry. The sound came from inside the walls. October 22nd, 1996. He promised himself he would end it. He drove the road at midnight. Fog crept across the asphalt. He whispered into the air, calling her. His voice shook. The headlights caught her figure. She stepped into the road, directly in front of the car. He slammed the brakes. The tires screamed. The car stopped inches from her. She did not flinch. She opened the door and sat inside as if nothing had happened. He could feel cold radiating from her body. His teeth chattered. She looked at him for the first time. Her eyes were endless voids. Her lips parted. She whispered his name. He had never told her his name. October 25th, 1996. He could not eat. He could not sleep. He heard her voice in the shower, in the hum of the refrigerator, in the static of the radio. Always the same whisper, his name. He tried to drown it out with music, but the words threaded through the noise. His hands shook at work. His boss asked if he was sick. He only nodded. He knew the girl was everywhere now, not just on the road. October 29th, 1996. He returned to the deputy. He demanded the truth. The deputy stared at him, long and hard, then sighed. He said a girl named Sarah had vanished after prom night. She had been seen last on that road. Her parents reported her missing, but the car she drove was never found. Some said it had burned. Others said it had sunk into the swamp nearby. The deputy said people whispered of her still walking that stretch, waiting for someone to take her home. He warned him not to stop for her again, not to say her name, not to listen. November 1st, 1996. He wrote this entry with shaking hands. He can smell the damp earth again. The sound of dripping water echoes in the corners of his house. The mirror above the sink shows her standing behind him, pale dress torn, hair wet, eyes black. She never moves. She only waits. He cannot bear to look, but he cannot turn away. He knows she will ride with him again. He knows she was never alive. November 5th, 1996. He wrote less clearly now. His script staggered across the page, jagged as though his hand resisted. He had not left the house for days. He swore the girl lingered near. The smell of soil filled every room. Damp stains spread across the ceiling. He scraped at one with his fingernail, but it only smeared darker, thick and red like diluted rust. He pressed his ear to the wall. A faint voice murmured, his name, always his name. November 7th, 1996. He drove again. He told himself he would prove she was real. The road stretched long and empty, lined by twisted trees with bare limbs. His headlights caught her standing in the same spot. Her dress clung, darker now, marked with streaks that looked like mud or dried blood. He kept the doors locked. Still she entered. One blink, and she was inside. Her head turned toward him, neck stiff, cracking with each degree of movement. Her lips parted. She whispered, home. He asked where that was. She stared through the windshield as though the world ahead was nothing but void. November 10th, 1996. He could no longer ignore the pattern. Every time she vanished, the seat stayed damp, leaving a dark impression, cold and heavy as if soaked through. The car smelled of ash and stagnant water. He tried to scrub it clean. The fabric stained his hands. He could not wash it off. His skin stayed marked, gray and flaking. November 13th, 1996. He dreamed of the swamp. Thick water bubbled, black with oil and rot. Her pale dress floated on the surface, but her body was below, hair drifting like weeds. He reached to pull her up, but her arms wrapped around his wrists, dragging him down. He woke choking on foul air. He spat black sludge into the sink. It swirled down the drain like ink. November 15th, 1996. He visited the library. Old newspapers confirmed the deputy's story. A girl named Sarah Whitfield had disappeared on prom night. Her parents had begged for answers. The search turned up nothing, but a torn scrap of white fabric caught on a branch near the marsh. Some believed she had run away. Others whispered she had been taken. The date etched into the yellowed paper froze him, October 3rd, 1976. Exactly 20 years before the night he first picked her up. November 18th, 1996. The girl no longer waited only on the road. He glimpsed her reflection in store windows. She stood at the end of aisles in the grocery, hair dripping, eyes empty. No one else reacted. Only him. Once, she passed directly behind the cashier. He shouted. The clerk looked at him blankly, said no one was there. He fled without his change. November 22nd, 1996. He avoided mirrors. Still, her image appeared in glass, in dark puddles after rain, in the polished chrome of his car. She always waited behind him. He covered every reflective surface in his house with cloth. Yet at night he still saw her in his dreams, closer each time. Her whisper grew clearer. You know where. He did not know, but his chest ached with the weight of it. November 25th, 1996. He asked his sister if she remembered Sarah Whitfield. His sister shook her head, said the name meant nothing. He pressed harder. She grew pale, told him to stop digging into things best left buried. She begged him to leave the road alone. He noticed her eyes shift, as though she knew more. He left angry. That night he dreamed again of the swamp. This time her voice came not from the water, but from his sister's throat. November 28th, 1996. The girl appeared in his room. He woke to the sound of dripping water. She stood at the foot of his bed, dress shredded, eyes black. He could not move. His body locked tight, frozen under her stare. She leaned forward, closer, until her breath chilled his face. You brought me back, she whispered. He had no voice to reply. She melted into the floor, leaving damp stains on the carpet. December 2nd, 1996. He drove to the marshland near the road. The trees grew thick, twisted into grotesque shapes. The ground sucked at his boots. He swore he saw the faint glow of headlights half buried in the mud. He pushed forward until the stench forced him back. Still, he heard the sound of metal groaning beneath the water. He fled, but the echo followed him all the way home. December 6th, 1996. He cannot eat. His weight drops. His skin sags loose. Neighbors avoid his gaze. He mutters to himself in public, begging Sarah to leave him. At night, he scratches her name into the walls without memory of doing so. His knuckles bleed. The walls are filled with her name now, layer over layer, until the letters blur. He tries to scrub them away. They remain. December 10th, 1996. He begged the deputy for help. The man stared long, then leaned close. He said Sarah's ghost clung to drivers because none ever brought her home. She had no home. She had no grave. She belonged nowhere. She waited until someone listened. Then she fed. The deputy's eyes shifted, as though recalling something he wished buried. He told him to burn his car. He said if he didn't, the girl would not stop until he joined her in the swamp. December 13th, 1996. He set fire to the car. Flames swallowed the seats, the dashboard, the wheel he had gripped so many nights. Yet through the smoke he saw her sitting in the passenger seat, face calm, eyes locked on his. She did not move as the fire consumed her. He stumbled back. The tires burst. The heat scorched his skin. But when the fire burned out, the car sat whole, untouched, as though no flame had ever licked it. He screamed until his throat tore. December 16th, 1996. The deputy is dead. They found his patrol car sunk half into the marsh. His body never surfaced. Rumor spreads, but no one asks questions. He knows the truth. Sarah has him now. He fears he is next. He cannot sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he feels cold hands brushing his skin, pulling, dragging. He wakes gasping, water filling his lungs. December 20th, 1996. The walls of his home bleed. Dark water seeps from the corners, pooling on the floor. He slips when he walks. His reflection stares back from the puddles, but Sarah's face overlays his own. His chest tightens. He knows she is merging with him. He cannot hold her back. Her whispers fill his skull until silence no longer exists. December 24th, 1996. On the eve of Christmas, he wrote what may be his last entry. His family called, but he did not answer. He sat alone in the dark, the house thick with damp air. She stood in the corner, silent, eyes never blinking. He asked what she wanted. For the first time, she smiled. Teeth black, lips cracked. She whispered, forever. He dropped the pen, the page stained with water. His handprint remained, but his words dissolved into ink smears. December 27th, 1996. The house no longer feels his. The air stays wet, heavy, and rank like swamp water. He hears footsteps in the hall though he lives alone. Sometimes he sees them, wet prints across the floor, leading to his room. He wipes them away, but they return darker, heavier, as if she grows stronger each night. December 29th, 1996. His sister visited. She stood on the porch, pale with fear when she saw him. She begged him to leave the house, to come stay with her. He refused. She said his eyes looked wrong, like someone else peered through them. She backed away when he stepped closer. He tried to explain, but Sarah stood behind his sister in the reflection of the window. Her black eyes glared through the glass. He shouted, but his sister only heard nonsense and fled. January 1st, 1997. A new year. He feels no change, only deeper weight. Sarah sits at the edge of his bed now. Not in dreams, not in mirrors. He sees her when awake, pale body dripping, hair tangled. She never blinks. She only watches. If he moves, her head turns in sharp jerks to follow him. He cannot escape her gaze. He covers his face, but he still feels her stare burning through the skin. January 3rd, 1997. The town whispers about him. Children cross the street to avoid his house. Neighbors whisper of screams late at night. He remembers nothing of them, yet his throat burns raw in the morning. His nails crack from scratching at the walls. They are covered in words, layer upon layer, always her name, always his name. He does not remember writing them. January 6th, 1997. The marsh calls him in dreams. Dark water swirls with shapes beneath the surface, arms, faces, mouths opening and closing with no breath. Sarah floats above them, dress shredded, body pale, whispering, down. He wakes with mud under his fingernails, damp moss clinging to his clothes. His shoes are caked with swamp filth, though he has no memory of leaving the house. January 9th, 1997. He smashed the mirrors. Glass splintered across the floor, but each shard reflected her face. Hundreds of her, staring, mouths moving though no sound reached him. He swept them into the trash, but even there they shimmered with her eyes. At night he hears them whisper together, a chorus of voices muttering his name, over and over, rising until it shakes the walls. January 12th, 1997. He sought the church. The pastor placed a hand on his shoulder. The pastor's eyes widened, face draining of color, and he pulled back as though burned. He whispered a prayer, voice trembling, then told him never to return. He staggered out, cold wind biting. In the shadow of the church he saw Sarah, veil of black dripping water, watching through the iron fence. He knew no faith could save him. January 15th, 1997. He tried burning the walls, setting flame to the names he carved. The fire spread fast, smoke thick, but in the heart of the flames Sarah's figure walked unharmed, eyes hollow, mouth curling into a smile. When the fire died, the house stood unscathed. Only his skin bore the burns, blistering along his arms. He cannot fight her. He knows it now. January 18th, 1997. He stopped sleeping. Each time he closes his eyes, her face pushes against his, skin cold and slick. Her mouth presses to his ear. She whispers of the water, of the car rusting below, of the body swallowed by mud. He feels her words burrow under his skin, twisting through veins. His reflection in the window no longer matches his face. Black water drips from his mouth when he speaks. January 21st, 1997. His sister returned with 2 men. They tried to force him out. He fought them with strength he did not know he had. They fled, leaving him shaking, blood on his hands though he does not know whose. Sarah appeared beside him, hand resting on his shoulder. Her touch burned cold. She whispered, "You are mine." January 24th, 1997. He no longer leaves the house. The windows are covered, but she still comes. The sound of dripping never stops. Pools form on the floor, rising each day, yet the boards never warp. The water stays black, reflective, and in it her face surfaces. She stares up from the pool, waiting for him to join her. January 27th, 1997. Voices follow him now, not just hers. The drowned whisper in unison. They tell him to surrender. They promise peace in the dark water. He hears their gurgling, choking sounds, their laughter beneath the surface. He feels the floor soften beneath him, as if it were only a thin skin stretched over the swamp below. January 30th, 1997. He woke outside, lying on the road where he first met her. His car was gone, though the keys lay in his pocket. The fog pressed thick, suffocating. He rose, unsteady, and saw her standing before him. She reached out a hand. For the first time, he touched her. Her skin felt like ice, brittle and wet. She pulled him close and whispered, "It is time." He woke again in his bed, clothes soaked through, lungs aching with water. February 2nd, 1997. The diary grows harder to read. His words slant, dark stains blurring them. He writes of Sarah sitting at his table, of sharing silence with her. He describes her as though she lives with him now. He says she eats nothing, drinks nothing, but never leaves his side. He calls her his passenger, bound to him until the end. February 5th, 1997. He admits he no longer remembers his own voice. When he speaks, the sound is not his but hers. His reflection mouths her words, not his. He screams, but only her whisper comes out. His body bends forward when she leans. His fingers twitch when hers do. He is becoming her shadow. February 9th, 1997. The final clear entry. He wrote, "Asterisk, I picked her up on a cold, lonely road. She was gone before sunrise, but she never left me. She was never alive. Now neither am I." Asterisk, the ink trails off, smeared as though his hand sank into water mid-sentence. February 12th, 1997. The handwriting is jagged, ink heavy. He wrote that Sarah now walks freely through his house. He does not see her arrive. She is simply there, moving from room to room. Sometimes she hums a low tune that rattles the glass in the windows. He asked her once what song it was. She only stared, lips curling as if she remembered something long buried. The humming came from his own throat the next morning, though he had no memory of singing. February 15th, 1997. He claims Sarah no longer appears soaked or torn. Her dress now hangs smooth, pale, unstained. Her hair falls clean down her back. She looks alive, almost beautiful, though her eyes remain bottomless black. He wrote that she tells him things without words, filling his head with images. He sees the car sinking, fire burning, the swamp swallowing it all. He sees his own face beneath the water, eyes wide, mouth open, bubbles rising. February 18th, 1997. He no longer eats. He writes that food rots in his mouth before he can swallow. His body rejects it. He drinks water, only water, and even then it tastes of rust. His skin grows pale, his veins dark. He wonders if Sarah feeds on what he gives up. He wonders if she is remaking him. February 22nd, 1997. The diary pages are damp. He wrote that water now leaks from his skin. Beads roll down his arms, drip from his hair, pool beneath his feet. His bed stays soaked. He no longer bothers to dry himself. Sarah sits beside him, smiling faintly, as though waiting for something. February 25th, 1997. He writes less each night. Sentences fragment, words smear. One entry repeats the same line over and over until the ink bleeds through the page. Asterisk, she was never alive. She was never alive. She was never alive, asterisk. February 28th, 1997. He describes leaving the house in the dark. Sarah led him, her hand cold in his. They walked the road in silence. Fog swallowed the trees. He wrote that the world felt thinner, like a skin stretched too tight, ready to tear. They stopped at the marsh. Sarah pointed to the water. He heard voices below, whispering his name, begging him to join them. March 2nd, 1997. This entry is written in a shaky scrawl. He wrote, asterisk, I saw the car. The roof gleamed through the water. Rusted, broken, but still whole. The windows open. The seats filled with shadows. She pulled me closer. She whispered, home. Asterisk, he ended the entry with one final line. I think I was always meant to drown. March 5th, 1997. The handwriting falters. Only a few words remain. Asterisk, the water is inside me. I see her when I close my eyes. I see me when I see her. I cannot tell the difference anymore. Asterisk. March 7th, 1997. No words, only a black smear across the page. Stains spread like mold. The paper curls, edges warped as though soaked through. March 10th, 1997. The diary changes. The script no longer matches his hand. The letters are tighter, cleaner, steady. A new voice writes, asterisk, he picked me up on a cold, lonely road. He tried to leave me behind, but he is mine now. He was never alive. He belongs with me, asterisk. March 12th, 1997. The same hand continues. Asterisk, we walk the road together. Others will come. They always come. The car waits. The water waits. The road never ends, asterisk. March 15th, 1997. The final page is blank at first glance. Only when held to light do faint impressions appear, pressed deep into the paper. Asterisk, if you see her on the road, do not stop. She was never alive, and neither was I, asterisk.